Hi, Aquarius, and welcome to your February 2022 General Tarot Forecast. This is Sky coming on to talk to you about your month ahead of February. I hope you're all having a wonderful start to the year, and I hope you are enjoying your season, as it is now Aquarius season as I'm filming your reading. And we have until about February 21st of full force Aquarius Sun, which should give you a lot of rejuvenation and replenishment of energy. We also have all planets direct starting on the 3rd of February. So this is going to be a very quick moving chain of events that we are going through now. And as an Aquarius person, I would say that you have a pretty large ravine to cross, per se, this month. And I would say that you have energy quickly coming in and then kind of going back out into some pretty sizable choices, okay? So I'm feeling you to be very just fast moving with your energy. I'm feeling a bit of erraticism and a bit of like squirreliness, but it is subsiding and it is progressing out of you. I feel that there's a need for you to get into new places and a need for you to cut back in a lot of ways. And it might be good to start making resolutions for the next year of your experience, as it is the time of your solar return, to understand how you can have an easier time of things and how you can embrace what you are more naturally good at yourself. So not necessarily trying to mimic or understand what has worked for other people, but come to a place where perhaps you are more reliant on your own experiences. Things in a way this month, and I'm just getting a pretty poignant psychic download here, in a way things have to get better before they get worse. So we might not be feeling the main all planets direct progress until March or April. Okay, February to me does feel like a purge for some people, and it feels like a climax point, okay? So if one is ill, sometimes, as we know, things have to get worse before they get better, and that could be on the plate here, but things are going to inevitably with that get better. So you might really start to get real with your calling, okay? We've talked a lot about purpose and calling on this channel, but that might start to become something that you could get a little bit like too sensitive to in a way as well. So you might be like leveling up and leveling up and leveling up your ideation of like what you could do or where you could move toward. But at the same time, this could be like pacing around in your own house while you're like leveling up these ideations. And this becomes quite erratic, okay? So we have a difficulty to necessarily step into action. And at the same time, it feels like the action that you are taking in your life is quite monotonous. So I think a lot of this all planets direct phase that we'll have for almost 3 months, okay? No retrogrades. For Aquarius, I think that that's going to deal a lot with getting the most difficult part of something over and done with and stepping into a much more calm and tranquil place. I'm feeling like you're just this close to it. Like there's this feeling in the energy, and it's kind of hard for me. I've been feeling this all day as I've been meditating on your energy before I'm doing this reading tonight. And I just feel like there's something that's like, oh gosh, it's like a quarter of an inch away from just like clicking and from just resolving itself. But what is keeping that very small distance still between you and where you want to be has something to do with a internal space that is associating stillness and not making changes, even for the better, even for the positive, with a feeling of security. So stagnation becomes security, okay? Security becomes the only thing that matters. Therefore, stagnation becomes like a guarantee. And that's what this all planets direct is going to clear up for your sign, because it's kind of crazy. You know, if we think about the longer timelines here, I feel like by the time Jupiter was in Sagittarius, so during late 2019, like when it had really gotten advanced, you likely already knew that everything had to change. And 2020 would have come in and like really shown you the synchronicities of ending phases. And that would have made 2021 really weird because I'm feeling that most people, like not just your sign, but especially your sign, you know, when Jupiter and Saturn came together and totally set you out on a new trajectory in some way, at the same time, there was the need for that security and the need for what had been for such a long time. And trying to balance the new trajectory with that old security here in February 2022 is something to me that's getting a little bit old and something that's getting a little bit too much, too hard, too heavy, too meaningless. Okay. So basically, for the entirety of this month, to kind of finish up with intuitive messages, my thought is that you have to kind of feel, or if you are struggling with this feeling that like where you want to be is just so close, but it's not quite there, it's not quite in your reach, but it's like very close. If that is a struggle for you, this month will increase that, or it will expand on that, or have you feeling that more so that you can actually overcome it and know that it's not acceptable. Okay. So in March, I feel that there will probably be some kind of leap or some kind of either leaping or satisfaction with where you currently are. And I feel that worry or guilt or severe feelings of distress or kind of constant feelings of wavering or just not quite being in reach of something is a little bit untimely, or it's not quite right. The only way that it resonates to me or feels to match the current energies is just in a deep, deep inner need in many, many people to no longer settle for unfair energy expenditures. So if you can solve the way in which your energy expenditure might be imbalanced right now, I think that that will be the most important step you can take in narrowing this gap or finally connecting with what you've been reaching for such a long time. And if it's not that, if it's just like this kind of looming feeling, and this is kind of a not a wonderful energy here, because it's feeling to me like you have things deeply on your mind, or there are these things that are like there, but at the same time, you're not really giving yourself the solution, or you're in a place where you don't think the solution is easy to come by. So we have unsolvable things here, or a passivity as well. It might not be unsolvable. It could be something that you feel to be unsolvable, or it could be also an Aquarius or a person in general being unwilling to really ask the question or unwilling to really face it too. So if you are having anything like that in your life, I definitely recommend getting yourself in a place where you can solve these things once and for all, where you can find comfort in where you currently are. And if that comfort is not coming, it could be a sign that something's off, but then you need to not be so passive perhaps, because all planets direct over these next 3 months will solve these problems if you like. So it's also good here in February to start thinking about what it might mean to have this no longer be a problem 3 months from now. What it might mean to lighten your load and to not have to push so hard and be such and just be so harrowing in your experience. I understand with the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction back in 2020 and early 2021, you had to do it. Like you had to get into that harrowing space. But now we need to see for Aquarius a comforting or a tranquil experience to offset it so that the energy can be healthy. Okay. Again, 10 of Wands and 9 of Wands coming up in your reading, the Tower, 10 of Cups reversed, 7 of Wands reversed. There's a feeling that we have way too much circulating or way too much on our mind to the point that what's really important goes unresolved because we're not able to give it enough time and energy because of all the other stuff we're balancing. So getting some stuff off the plate here is really wonderful. And I think that the plates will crack by the end of the month. Okay, all planets direct will not allow these old, stagnant problem areas to keep just bearing down. So whatever you can do to offset that now at the beginning of the month is great. And also, whatever you can do to make this less of a lone wolf battle. I'm seeing so much solitude here. 10 of Wands, 9 of Wands, 7 of Wands. That the difficult thing about the end of the Wands story is this person is so purposeful, so desire-ridden, but that's only a personal experience with themselves. So they're having to go through so many rings of fire on motorcycles, to come to this, because it's not such a group activity, or it's not such a team experience that you might be going through. So I definitely recommend whatever you can do to get a little bit less off your own plate. I mean, outsourcing could be really good here. Employing could be really good here. Having more advisors, having mentorship, okay? Having some type of oversight in a way could be a wonderful, wonderful asset for you. Perhaps as a self-employed entrepreneur, or as someone who is high in authority with perhaps little oversight, could be difficult right now because there's so many swirling changes happening that those in positions of authority can struggle during this time because, it's unclear which direction the wind is blowing, per se. So choosing what side to clamp down on something becomes difficult in a time like this. So it is really a positive time to not be in control of that much, okay? So if you are in an authority position, or if you are in some type of hierarchy and you're not at the bottom of that hierarchy, you might want to delegate as much as you can, and you might want to have a somewhat neutral and, quiet type of tone. That seems to me to be very advantageous during this, as some of us may not be very quick to want to really identify with the opinions or the choices made during these last few years. And that's something that we really need to weed out and get to the bottom of here, as I feel that we need to stand behind ourselves more, and we need to be more confident in the decisions we're making and in the structures we're creating. Okay, the Tower, as your only major arcana card for this month during your season, is going to dissolve and question, certainly, structures or securities that are just stagnation or are not solid to begin with. And it's also going to want to take some stuff off your plate. This can be a great thing if you're in a place where you're ready to unload, or where you're ready to have a little bit less to do. How beautiful that would be, because the Tower is just going to kind of let that be very natural for you. So anyway, let's talk briefly about your week-to-week Aquarius. In the first week of February, you've got the 9 of Wands rooted down by the 10 of Cups. So you have worked really hard for something. You have been hustling, perhaps. You've been really pushing. You've been really working hard. And that was indicated, again, back in December 2020 when Jupiter and Saturn conjoined in your sign. Probably ever since then, you've been going a million miles an hour. The 9 of Cups rooting that down says now you're invited to enter a space where it doesn't have to be quite that hard. Okay, so self-regulation or self-control, self-love and healing can be an interesting thought right now, as you might give yourself a better schedule or a better circadian rhythm or an easier night's sleep. And then I'm also seeing some Aquarius is just going to certain professionals or going to certain authorities, and perhaps kind of like not being willing to accept certain neutralities or certain non-confirmative answers. Is that a word? Confirmative? I don't know. Basically, Aquarius is right at the epicenter of this crisis that we have, where it's very difficult to get any type of confirmation because nobody really wants to commit to much right now. So you might find yourself in the first week being like, that's not acceptable. I feel that there's something that's not really acceptable. And this might resonate for some of you. It might not resonate for others. But I'm feeling like, not just for Aquarius, but for everyone in the first week of February, like someone has been out of line, or someone has really, or quite a few people perhaps, have really not valued the authority that they have, or not been super responsible with the office or with the profession at hand. So we have a need to perhaps change our own tone or change our own space when we consult with these people, or when we also need to receive confirmation. Maybe the passivity or pacification needs to be replaced with a more healthy, like, emperor vibe in the tarot, or a more healthy world vibe, so that this doesn't seem so, I don't know, non-important to those who you might need to rely on during this time. So what I basically feel is you've been working too hard to receive some type of certification or to receive some type of response, and now you just need to change your tone and change more into Nine of Cups than Nine of Wands. So it's important to not be fearful. It's important to not be afraid, because people really smell fear right now, and they kind of avoid any type of fear spectrum. So you've got to really get into that more authoritative Nine of Cups vibe and make things look a little bit easier. I feel that, in Cirque du Soleil, it wouldn't be quite as enjoyable of an experience for the whole crowd if it looked really hard, okay? Part of that circus is the illusion of ease. This could be a good thing for you to cultivate here in the first week, or in the year of 2022 in general. Week number 2, 10 of Wands, rooted down by 10 of Cups. Interesting that we have 9 and 10 on the top and the bottom. That's fascinating. Wands and Cups, fire and water. This year, 2022, is a fire and water year. So steamy situations, very strong love energy coming in during this time too, though relationships could also completely fall apart and restart. There could be a polarity in relationships, and there could also be working too hard. Okay, working too hard again, over and over again, overdone, overcooked, trying too hard, not letting the mind rest. We've got to cultivate ease and grace. Okay, week number 3, you've got the 9 of Pentacles rooted down by the Queen of Pentacles. That's it. The third week by Pisces season, okay, is going to show you something about ease and grace and its importance. Jitteriness is a big problem now. So caffeine is a big problem. Stimulants are a big problem. Eye contact, the inability to hold eye contact, the inability to keep the gaze consistent, okay? Eyes that jerk around a lot. Okay, these small things that can be the difference between like so much in one's life. We have to maybe work on our demeanor here. And this isn't about becoming obsessed with how one comes off. This isn't about anything like that, because that's actually the root at why we have demeanor issues in the first place, is too much focus on how we're projecting. If we just get into our natural body, like how our gestures and our just how our expressions naturally come, that is the best thing. But once one becomes perhaps a bit insecure or too self-concerned, they start to purposefully do certain expressions or be too conscious with their expressions and their gestures. And that actually is very off-putting, or that becomes unnatural seeming. So we need to step back into a more natural form of expression. And I understand that this can become quite obsessive for some people, so you have to understand this is not about effort. This is really about calming down and soaking up your environment, knowing where you are, knowing why you're there. This is definitely about healthy root chakra, okay? And about maybe toning down the crown chakra a little bit. Because oftentimes I see that people who are like jittery or nervous or erratic, they usually have a too open crown chakra, and too much space or life force energy from above is channeling through them. So it's too much for their neurological system to really process. So this can cause tremor. This can cause like neurological problems. This can cause jerkiness, jolting, just general, right? Aquarius, Uranus, Mercury energy is like this. So you guys just have so much of that energy coming in that you've got to really be good at channeling it. So new forms of exercise. Okay, I'm feeling that a lot of you are pent up in a lot of ways, and especially in the sense of space energy or electric energy coming in through the crown chakra. And not, like, I feel, and for each individual this can be different, but for a lot of you I feel that it's like not even like surpassing the third eye chakra or the throat chakra. Like this is not like moving much at all, which I think is why we might be having this crisis of like being stuck in the head. I mean, why wouldn't we be if we were having this energy come in the crown chakra and then like not even surpassing like the throat chakra? Like that incredible, knowledgeable, ancient yet new extraterrestrial intelligence in a way is only getting to the head and it's not getting to the rest of the body. So that becomes perhaps like the root of everything that's a struggle in this paradigm right now. I mean, can I get an amen for that? Can I get a thumbs up or a comment of an amen in the comment section? I mean, how much does that resonate for you guys out there? I know that resonates for me. It feels like the energy is just not getting into the like bottom 7/8 of the body. So how do we do that? I don't necessarily feel that it's because the third eye or the throat chakra is out. I'm not really sure what the answer is, but if I'm looking at your spread and if I'm looking at what's going on here, it has something to do with too much stimulus or too much stuff to deal with, too much stuff on the plate. Again, like the attention deficit, the social media effect on brain chemistry, where we can't concentrate on one thing, you know, so many different notifications jumping around, so many different trains of thought every day. I feel that most people are at their evolutionary limit. What do I mean by that? Like, I think it's something like 70,000 thoughts a day that the average person has. And I feel that for a lot of people, this is actually at like 200,000, 300,000 because of the effects of social media and technology and lifestyle here in the 2020s. So it's good to tone that down a little bit, because then you can actually have successful thoughts or have thoughts that lead to appropriate actions. Okay, so just an interesting dialogue there. And the third week of February is going to be a good time to cultivate that, because you look to me to be calming down in the third week, and diet can pay off by then. Okay, so if you want to start at the beginning of February, you could start seeing really good results in the third week with budget, with diet, with healthy living, with healthier mindset, accepting where you are now so that you can overcome it, you know, is really good. Fourth week, you have the Seven of Wands reversed, rooted down by the Tower. Okay, as always, things get better, and then there's the test, and then there's the big thing, and then there's the event. There's some kind of event in the fourth week for you, and it has something to do with letting your guard down. It has something to do with opening up, with honesty, truth, and intentional healing. So Seven of Wands reversed is about letting your guard down. It's about knowing you're on higher ground and you don't have to have a shield. When you're on higher ground, you could be being over defensive. You could be identifying problems that don't exist. You could be like, again, stuck in the head. So Seven of Wands reverse is saying you can let your guard down. Like you really don't have that much to worry about. Like this all kind of works itself out. And then the Tower comes in and it's like, but if you don't want it, it can go, or all of these weird details are just gone. Like you might have a bit of a brain dump. Okay. So you might have everything out in a journal by now. You might have everything talked about. You might have thought it all over 1,000,000 times by now. And now there has to be a cleansing, because that can become habitual and it doesn't need to be. So what I feel at the end of the day, Aquarius, for your sign is that the month of February 2022 is about letting this energy surpass the throat and come into the rest of your body, and to let your body heal with that process. And as that happens, a lot's going to clean up. Okay, a lot's going to start flowing again. And with that, I would say the real solution space will come in. But we'll talk more about solutions in your extended reading, Aquarius, on Patreon. I hope you'll all check it out. If you're not already over there, I do weekly tea chats, extended readings, and all of these readings early and ad-free. So definitely come and check it out. It's a wonderful service. I'll link it below and in the center of your screen now. Let's do that, Aquarius. Bye.